This is a film that came out in India in 2016. It's called the Mohenjo Daro. Mohenjo Daros is an ancient culture. It was in the 19th century and what we call modern day Pakistan. But this is a movie that came out that was to depict that ancient civilization. And as you see, this man looks like a very either light skinned Indian man or a Caucasian man with a tan, and he's depicted as the main feature. But let's read into a little bit of this. So this is one scene from the movie. Uh, Here, Roshan and Pooja Agded played the lead roles in Mahendra Daro. Dr. Narayan Singh Niatam writes, the act of the filmmaker should be considered as playing with a thing of international importance and should be tried for treason. Questioning the historical correctness of the film, Pankaj Dhruv writes, the film shows people of that era as fair skinned, whereas there is historical evidence that to suggest they were dark. The customs of the characters are being questioned. The heroine wears stitched designer dresses, while historians say that at the time, women and men used to wear the same kind of clothes but wore unstitched. And upper half of the body was not covered. Women wore only ornaments on the upper half of their bodies. Well, that's going into their their clothes, but I want to just put that they depicted these men and women as fair skinned, and they were actually dark skinned. And we know there's colorism, high amount of colorism in India, so and especially in Bollywood films. So it's not surprising, but it was interesting that there are some people that spoke up about the colorism of the film and how it did not historically accurately depict the people at that time. So this is another this article that talks about the trailer or the movie when it came out, and it says it gets the costumes wrong. We're gonna skip a little bit down into article where it talks about their appearance. So the people in Mohenjo Daro were dark skinned, and we see this is the actress, the Indian actress who played that main role. But it said natives of Indus Valley civilization, often regarded as Dravidians or Proto-Dravidians by most scholars due to cultural and linguistic similarities, were dark-skinned people. Light-skinned Yaman, Yamnyan, light-skinned Yamnaya pastoralists or Indo-Aryan nomads established province in modern-day Pakistan and Afghan regions around 1500 BC, which also coincidentally marks the end of Indus Valley civilization. All right, and we know the Indo-Aryan nomads. When they're talking about that, um, they're talking about certain groups of people that intermix that have fairer skin. Now we know in the scriptures who those fair skinned people are, but to not be controversial, I'm not going to mention that right now. That'll come later. But those are the people that migrated from the Mount Seir, most likely. Possibly skin tone and facial structure of the people of Mohenjo Daro. And as we see, here's a statue bust that they depict. And as we can see right next to it, this is a person of dark skin with curly hair. So they said this is how the people looked at that time, most likely. They say possible, but as we see, even with the bust, that looks like someone that's like an Aboriginal man. So this is how the people should have looked like in that film. But this is how the people look like in ancient India, ancient Pakistan. That's why it's like these Aboriginal cultures were who they are. All right. And they intermix with these people that came in, or either they were killed off or they intermix. All right. And this is just an article talking about the Mohenjo-Daro. So this is a statue of the dancing girl. Let's read about. She's about 15 years old, I should think, not more, but she stands there with bangles all the way up her arm and nothing else on. A girl perfectly, for the moment, perfectly confident of herself in the world. There's nothing like her, I think, in the world. John Marshall, another archaeologist at Mohenjo-Daro, described the figure as a young girl, her hand on her hip, and a half impudent posture and legs slightly forward as she beats time to the music with her legs and feet. The archaeologist Gregory Possessi said in the statuette, we may not be certain that she was a dancer, but she was good at what she did and she knew it. The statue led to two important discoveries about the civilization. first, that they knew metal bending, casting, and other sophisticated methods of working with ore. Secondly, that entertainment, especially dance, was part of the culture. And as we see in this picture, that looks like a little girl, like a so-called black girl, and you can tell that just by, the depiction with her nose and her lips, and even the attitude. And it's just like, our people. That's like when we talk about black culture, quote unquote. We have to. You can't just limit it to Africa. Our people are everywhere, and that's what makes us so unique. Um, is that our history is everywhere, and we're going to get into how this relates into the scriptures at the end. This is another depiction of Mohejo Daro um, person statue. And this is the priest king, a seated stone sculpture in the National Museum of Karachi. And as we see, he has the very nicely lined up beard. You see the prominent lips, you see the prominent nose. That's a so called black man or Aboriginal man. You see, even his beard, very similar to how we line it up today. A lot of things don't change.